What is up, Watch fam? I am Christian from Theo and Harris, and I'm back at London Jewelers Manhasset location with my man, Anthony.
How's it going, guys? Happy to be back here.
I said your name. I don't know why I did that.
It's all good.
He's an idiot. So today we're going to be looking at some pretty wild stuff. New stuff to the London Jewelers catalog.
Yeah, so we had it for a little bit in the Hamptons, but just arrived yesterday here in Manhasset, so really excited for it.
All right, let's do it. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 watches here, and yet 2 of them are equal $360,000.
Right.
These are Roger Dubuis. This is not a brand we see often at all, and that's maybe an understatement. Mm-hmm. I want to, in the next 10 minutes, I want to talk about these watches, the conception of the brand, logically, how has it evolved, and hope we can understand together, okay, they cost $360,000 together, but really are they worth $360,000? So I'm excited to dive a little bit deeper into the brand.
Me too.
Let's talk about it.
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's get into it. Roger Dubuis. This is a brand that is not very large, right? They only make a couple thousand watches.
Right around 3,000 watches per year on a good year, not 2020 though. With the pandemic, you're looking at around 2,000 watches for the year.
And that's globally.
Globally, U.S. only sees maybe 10% of that.
So you're seeing 200 watches.
Correct.
So which is very interesting. A brand that is as kind of well established as Roger Dubuis. It's a major brand, and yet their output is so small, and their approach is very interesting. I think in order to understand these watches, let's take a look back in history, right? Roger Dubuis, the man for which the company is named after, is actually he's passed now, but a very traditional watchmaker. He was a master watchmaker at Longines and Patek Philippe, and eventually had his own company, his namesake, which is this. But even the Roger Dubuis brand has seen a lot of variation from its inception, right?
Very much. When they started out, they were making beautiful kind of, not vintage inspired watches, but maybe like a 2-register chronograph, which those are quite collectible nowadays, but I think he really moved into a direction that not necessarily was for everybody, but what he wanted to do.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, the first pieces, to the best of my knowledge, that were out were the chronographs, like you said. They were inspired by, the heyday of Patek Philippe chronographs. You're talking about the style of the perpetual calendars and things like that. 2499, I think, was a big influence on him. All those chronos. Mm-hmm. But, the company has become the opposite of that. But there's a bridge in between, which I think a lot of people don't recognize. They say, well, how did the watches go from classic to modern, indulgent, insane? And I think that's wrong. There's a bridge, and that is the sympathy chronograph. Right? Mm-hmm. The sympathy chronograph is, in my opinion, Roger Dubuis' first watch, which is a part of that original collection that he actually put his own design chops into.
Right.
That first stuff, that was just, while beautiful,
right.
Fairly generic.
Right, hard to distinguish it from one brand to another.
Exactly right. But that sympathy was completely different.
Right.
And it has a lot of the design language that we still see today. So while the two histories seem disconnected, I don't think they are as much as they seem. Right. So let's take a look at these specific pieces.
So we'll go with this one to start off. Now, Roger Dubuis actually has 2 partnerships. One is with Pirelli tires, which we have a few of those pieces here in the salon, but this one happens to be with Lamborghini. Now, we all know there's many different watch companies that have done partnerships with car companies. I think they do it the best. Looking at it, you don't see Lamborghini all over the dial. It's not in your face. It's pretty subtle.
Where is the branding?
Only on the back.
Oh, I like that.
So this is the Aventador S. Okay. So Aventador is one of the top lines from Lamborghini. This one's it looks almost like the engine. It's a double balance wheel that's angular, so it looks just like the engine that you would see in the back. And this is even a deadbeat second. So a very complicated watch. This piece, retail value is just over $200,000, but a very, very cool watch. And you know what? Roger Dubuis is not for everybody, and he loves that. He loves that it was a very out there watch, and it's funny because it works so well with Lamborghini. Lamborghini basically started as a tractor company, and he went to Enzo Ferrari. He raced Ferraris and wanted Enzo to make him a different gearbox for his car, and Enzo, being a proud Italian, said, no, I already make perfect cars. I'm not going to do it. So Lamborghini left and decided to shut down half of his factory and say, we're going to make cars, and he started to do so. So it's kind of like a perfect partnership between the two brands.
When I hear that brands are doing partnerships, my hopes are always so high because a brand partnership can be so cool. Lapo Elkan, he's an Italian entrepreneur, actually I think a grandson of Gianni Agnelli from Fiat. He always talked about how cool would a partnership between Ferrari and Levi's be. Imagine a denim interior Ferrari. Right. That's an actual collaboration.
Right.
Not putting Levi's on the front of a Ferrari. Right. What does that mean? The brand means nothing, but what we see more often is lazy collaboration, So in seeing this, it's interesting. I'm not a Lamborghini expert, that's for sure. But you don't need to be an expert. You need to have a pair of eyes to see that the design language is actually reflected in the watch.
100%.
This is not a watch for me. The style is not my style. It's too young for me. It's very aggressive. It's very interesting. It's very complicated. Quality watch. For me, it's too aggressive. This watch is very me. I actually love it.
It's amazing. It's really cool. Out of everything that we currently have in the salon, this is probably my favorite piece.
Yeah.
I love the integrated strap. I think it's flawless. The skeletonized dial, sometimes they can be a little bit too hard to read. I think this one, despite being a skeletonized watch with the tourbillon, it's still extremely legible. It's a fantastic piece that, even despite being a larger watch, wears very, very well on the wrist.
Yeah, I rarely say that. I have a small wrist, a little under 7 inches, but the truth is that this watch actually does fit very well. I like the design language, the case. I like the bezel. I think it's interesting. I love the lug configuration. I really do. I mean, skeleton watches, it's a tall mountain to climb. There's a lot of work that needs to go into it in order for it to be done well. I don't like most skeleton watches. I think that AP does a fantastic job with skeleton watches.
Absolutely, I agree.
One of the few brands. But this is a beautiful watch with their design language. I mean, look at the case back even.
It's
stunning.
It's absolutely stunning.
It looks like carbon fiber throughout.
They do a lot of different materials like carbon fiber. One of the things I love about the brand, you can put this down next to any watch and you instantly know the brands. A lot like Panerai or an AP. They very much speak to who they are, and they don't try to be a watch for everybody. They only make 3,000 watches a year. They don't need to sell it to everybody. So I'm a big fan. I'm so happy that we carry it, and I think it's going to really fit in quite well with London because they're so different than everything else we carry.
I could be wrong. Because I've been in very few Lamborghinis, but
that is Alcantara.
Yeah, Alcantara, right?
They do that because it's a very common material used in sports cars.
Yeah.
That is an Alcantara strap. It was originally used in race car steering wheels because it would absorb the sweat as they were driving and it wouldn't allow you to lose grip of the steering wheel.
Wow.
Now, obviously, it's everywhere from the headliner, from the seats to the carpet, everywhere. But it's very cool. Another subtle detail paying homage to the racing heritage.
It's a great buckle. Listen, I'm impressed by this watch. I mean, I'm constantly begging for quality collaboration. That's a quality collaboration. Again, obviously, you guys don't need to. You need to know me. Look at how I dress. I wear little Cartier watches. You know that that's not my watch for sure. But it's impressive. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And I don't just mean technically.
Right.
I don't. I look into how is something conceived intellectually. It's not just, okay, is it a great complication? Is it well finished? When you're spending this kind of money, forget even $200,000. When you're spending $5,000, I want to see, I want to be impressed by the development of something, and not just technologically, but in theory. And the theory there is right. It is. I got to say.
I agree, and I think this is definitely a competitor with another very popular brand that's ultra high end. That starts with an R as well. So I think if you happen to like these watches, I mean, not a brand you can see everywhere. We happen to have it here in Manhasset. Come in, try it on.
Yeah, I mean, have you seen people come in and talk about these watches with you?
You know what? This is the second day we've had it on the floor, yesterday was the first day, but I can say people were blown away. You carry Roger Dubuis now? And
well, this is a wild area too. Got to keep in mind. I mean, you're miles from the city. Listen, it's $360,000 in watches. It can be hard to believe that,
this is almost $500,000 right here. I mean,
it is a little bit. It's almost hard to believe that someone would spend $200,000 on a watch, and I completely get that. But the truth is, look where we are. I mean, I don't keep in mind. I also have other watches here. We're going to be reviewing watches that are $3,000 and $5,000, and that's great. But it is unbelievable just for a couple of minutes to look at something.
I think
it's a $200,000 watch.
with this brand now, we really have something for everyone, whether you're looking for a $500 watch or a $200,000 watch.
Yeah, it's amazing. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, come to London Jewelers. They're doing today. Obviously, you missed it already, but for real, the watch fair is fantastic. It hasn't started
October.
Yet. Every October. I've been. I was going to say I've been a friend of London Jewelers. I've been basically a part of the London Jewelers family with all of you for a little over a year now, and it's a beautiful location. You've got to come take a look. Come say hello. I was downstairs before. We ran into a couple of watch geeks already. Someone was picking up a Submariner.
Right. It's like Christian.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. We're here all the time. Michael's behind the cameras here quite often as well. So come, stop in, say hello. Anthony's the manager. You gotta see Anthony.
Come in, try on everything we have. Like I said, over 30 brands, and no matter what you're looking for, I guarantee we have it. So
awesome. Well, that's it.